Dr. Mark Easy here with your Science Moment. There is a dilemma that societies will always have to deal with concerning mass hysteria. So social manias, or virality within social communities of certain kinds of ideas, is something that's just going to always be with humankind. And the dangerous part of that is that sometimes those ideas become sick and they lead to kind of ill narratives, which are absurd on their face if you're outside of the community. You can see that they're absurd on their face when you're outside of the community, but when you're in the community, you're getting justifications from all the high reputation folks in your community, and so you think that it's true, just as you think all the things that we all think are true. It's because, for the most part, we believe the things that the reputation network around us tells us, because we don't have time to go measure all the stuff ourselves. Like me as a scientist, I've got a lot of discoveries. Maybe 15 things that I know out of the million things that I know came from my own research, my own statistical. I did the data myself, right? Just those cases. The rest are from my network. So the dilemma is that for social manias, mass hysterias, you're either blind to them because you're inside the social mania. You're inside the social mania. You're inside the mass hysteria. You're inside the community that slowly over time started to justify post hoc a lot of these crazy ideas. You do not see the social mania that you're in. It's just reality. It's just true. It's obviously true and good and righteous and so forth. And if you're outside and it's obviously not true, and it's obviously absurd, nobody gives a damn what you think in that community. You're utterly impotent to stop it. Because if you were in that community such that you had a high reputation within that community, you'd believe it just like they did. So you've got these two horns of the dilemma. Either you're in it, you're in the social mania, you're in the mass hysteria, and it is invisible to you. Or you're outside of it, and it is plain as day, but there is no way anybody in that community will listen to you because you have zero reputation within it. If worse, you're an enemy, you're an opposition. Right? No one cares what you think. Now this has plagued humankind, forever. This has always been the way that it is, but we saw it firsthand during COVID. Right? You saw it firsthand. If you're in the dissident community like us, we didn't count as experts. No matter how many scientists there were that were good scientists, careful scientists outside of it, none of us were experts because we had zero reputation because we were not part of the COVID cult. And it was obviously exaggerated by 3 orders of magnitude. Way back in March of 2020, obviously exaggerated. Masks obviously wouldn't work. None of these things made any sense whatsoever, but when you're in it, there was lists and lists of experts and new publications that were appearing to justify post hoc all of these things which were recommended against as of 2019. So the question that I've been struggling with is how can we set up mechanisms, freedom consistent, that is, they're consistent with freedom, they can't be authoritarian mechanisms, put them in place such that it helps to minimize the spread of social manias, so that you see them early. And as soon as they start going, you put out the fire. The problem, though, with that is this dilemma that always comes back. When these social manias begin, and they could potentially lead to more serious crimes against humanity level mass hysterias, well, the first people to see them are going to be on the outside. They're going to say, look at that community, saying some stupid stuff. So you might walk over there and you say, hey guys, you saying stupid stuff. They just start screaming at you as an unclean outsider. You will have no effect. If anything, you might even worsen it. You might be just throwing gasoline on the fire. All right. So being aloof could be great personally for your own, career as a scientist, like for me. And if everybody could be aloof, really beaten into their brains as a kid, don't join these social, always stay aloof, try to, but that's not really realistic. People will always end up in these sorts of socio-political communities, and I don't think that's realistic. I think a realistic solution is one where a relatively small number of individuals potentially, or something that could lead to structural changes organically in the nature of the spread of these sorts of social communities and how they cross-cut, intersect one another, such that it helps to slow the spread or identify early sick, ill narratives as they're spreading and these communities are growing, they're ill, and somehow quell them. We need to come up with solutions that are like an immune system across social networks in the public square to recognize these things early. But we have to overcome this deep, difficult dilemma, which is the blind or impotent dilemma that I am pointing out in this video. And that was your science moment. These are the things that we focus at the free expression group, freex.group. Go take a look there, that sort of stuff. And take a look at my earlier book, Harnessed, How Language and Music Mimic Nature and Transformed Ape to Man. It's the story of how we became the human 2.0s, not the biological apes that we are, but the real humans that we are today, because we're a cultural animal. And in that book, Harnessed, I explain what it is to truly be human as we take ourselves to be.